The two sisters stood on the tarmac, their designer luggage beside them, hearts pounding with disbelief. The private jet they'd been invited to board was minutes from takeoff, but the crew had just told them they weren't authorized passengers. Their names were on the list, their payment confirmed. Still, they were told to step aside. Cameras watched, passengers whispered. It wasn't the first time they'd been humiliated for their skin color, but this time they wouldn't walk away quietly. Because their father wasn't just anyone. And his name would change everything. Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Ava and Nia Coleman had grown up around success. Their father, Harold Coleman, was a quiet but influential figure in the aviation industry, serving as CEO of one of the biggest private charter companies in the country. Yet he raised his daughters to stay humble, never flaunting wealth or privilege. That morning, the sisters were traveling to surprise him at an award ceremony. They'd booked one of their father's company jets through the regular system, using no special treatment, wanting to experience what his customers did. Dressed casually yet elegantly, they arrived early, smiling and full of excitement. The air smelled of jet fuel and possibility. But the moment they approached the gate, something shifted. The receptionist's polite tone vanished. The pilot avoided eye contact. And when the manager arrived, his words froze them. "This flight is for members only. You must have made a mistake." Ava's stomach dropped. "Members only?" She showed her booking confirmation, the company logo clearly displayed. Nia pointed out their names, spelled correctly, verified. But the staff didn't even look. They just kept repeating, "You're not authorized." Other passengers, primarily white, boarded without issue. A woman whispered, "They must have snuck in," and the security guard gave a slow, knowing smirk. The sisters felt the familiar sting. Disbelief, anger, humiliation rolled into one. They stepped aside, unsure what to do. Ava called the company's helpline, but after giving her name, the tone on the other end changed. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can't verify your identity." She hung up, trembling. This wasn't a mistake. It was profiling. Nia tried to stay calm, recording everything quietly on her phone. "We're not leaving," she whispered. "Not this time." Minutes later, the manager called airport security, claiming unauthorized trespassers were disrupting operations. Two guards approached, hands near their belts. The world seemed to slow down. Ava's heart pounded in her chest. Passengers began filming, some pretending not to notice. She thought of her father, how proud he was of his company's diversity policies. He had no idea what was happening in his own hangar. And as the guard stepped closer, ready to escort them away, Ava made one final call, this time to a private number. "Dad," she whispered, voice breaking, "something's wrong." 10 minutes later, a black SUV screeched to a stop near the runway. Out stepped Harold Coleman, imposing, calm, yet visibly furious. His badge gave him immediate clearance. The guards froze. The manager's face drained of color. "Is there a problem here?" Harold asked, his voice cutting through the silence. The same staff who dismissed his daughters now stammered excuses. Misunderstanding. "Security protocol." Harold didn't speak again. He pulled out his ID and handed it to the airport supervisor. "These are my daughters. And this," he gestured to the jet, "is my plane." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The cameras rolled. The truth hit like thunder. The humiliation they'd endured, the prejudice they'd faced, all beneath their father's own company logo. The story went viral within hours. The footage showed everything, the dismissive tone, the way the sisters were treated before their father arrived. Harold issued a public apology not for himself, but for the systemic failures within his company. The employees responsible were suspended, and mandatory racial bias training was introduced company-wide. But for Ava and Nia, the scars ran deeper than corporate reform. They learned how fragile dignity could be when seen through the lens of prejudice. In interviews, Ava said quietly, "Power means nothing if it doesn't protect the powerless." The world applauded. But the question lingered in every viewer's mind. How many more must suffer humiliation before humanity learns to see beyond skin? Where are you watching from, and what would you have done in their place? Take care.